Hey guys, welcome to the woods. Well, some beautiful clouds. I don't know if you can really see the clouds as cool as they are in this video. I turned the camera a different way. It doesn't look so good for me looking back. I feel like I want to just turn around now. But anyway, I got my arm propped up, so that's going to be a little. That's my extent of my phone savviness today. I got my arm propped. All right, so I feel like I'm often referring to this like leaning one way or another, and energetically talking about things and stuff like that. Because when you get into particulars, I maybe tell you particulars about my life, but I kind of am in these videos, Spiritual direction is one of my things, and so I can't always be talking to people about it. Sometimes I'm just meditating about it, and sometimes I'm putting it out in this kind of format. But that journey towards, here's how we would describe it. At some point in time, everyone has had and is going to have more of some quiet time, all by themselves, some alone time. Maybe they're dying, maybe they're on vacation, maybe some people have left their lives, or there's all kinds of reasons to feel very alone. And when you're feeling alone, when you are alone, that can be the most blissful time. I mean, when you're talking about spiritual awakening and meditation in time, it's the alone time is the best. It's like, yeah, me and my conversation. That's the best conversation I ever have. That's my best friend, the me and the me conversation. And I think a lot of people's internal dialogue, or me on me conversation, as I just made up a minute ago, I don't know where that term came from, but what I'm saying to myself and how I treat myself when I'm alone with myself is so critical, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it or working on it. And worse than that, when I talk to people about it, I don't go around, badgering this on people, which is why I'm putting these videos out, I guess. But because people don't want to hear it. You don't have to go far into any of these kind of deep topics, and people don't really, the judgment comes right up. It's like, you're going to get deep, and when you get deep, you're going to find out that I'm a schmuck. I'm like, oh, as I already know, you feel like a schmuck because you don't want to go deep. Well, who told you you're a schmuck? I'm not saying that, but I get criticized for being the one who's calling, judging. I'm like, just because I can see doesn't mean I'm judging. I'm the only one who's seeing truly what people are really dealing with internally and how they talk to themselves and how they treat themselves. It's appalling. It's so sad. I just want to cry sometimes. And it's the same feeling for me when somebody's doing about someone else outside of them. Man, that person has really let me down. Or man, that was a messed up situation. Or man, they're going to get that wrong. Or man, they're doing that wrong. Or man, this is wrong. Just even other drivers on the road, Who are you really yelling at through the window of your car? Your wound up window. You're yelling at yourself. It's irritation with yourself that gets mirrored out into your ethers. Self-dialogue, self-talk, sense of self, self-worth, or spiritual awakening. It's all the same thing. Connected, tuned in, tapped in, turned on is blissful, it's energetic, it's able to accomplish things. It's only built off of a base and a foundation of self-worth, and what you say to yourself is what your self-worth is all about. People say self-love, getting in touch with your inner child. There's a million different ways. Everybody's really saying the same story. But it's just really hard to take that first bite to say, you know what? I could work on my self-worth. I could talk nicer to myself. I could work on that and see if that doesn't bloom into something. I know that it will. I know that if you build on your self-worth and you build on your inner dialogue with yourself, and which then also is your perception of everything around you, but you don't start with your perception of everything around you. Well, you start wherever it's the easiest path of least resistance. what's the easiest thing to love on? If it's your puppy dog or your cat, that's all good. But anyway, 5 minutes, I feel like that's kind of short, but really that kind of says the point, doesn't it? It's like, don't go the other way, you know? Don't go into, you know, I'm unworthy, so I got to go fix the problem to earn my way to be acceptable. Just go for the loving, acceptable side. When you're meditating, that's the point of it. Do you have to be quiet? Not necessarily. But if you're talking love to yourself and of your sense of the past, or you're bringing up fearful thoughts like, oh shit, I should have done this, and why didn't I do it? What was I thinking when this happened? Or what they mean by that? I don't really get it. What are they thinking? What do the people think about me? All that dialogue, none of that's good. It's not you loving on yourself and appreciating yourself and complimenting yourself and really digging in at what are my gifts? What is great about me? There's a million of things on everybody, but people feel like, oh, that's being conceited, that's being self-righteous, and that's being, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I'm for the team. It's like there's no such thing. You gotta figure this out with yourself. You gotta love on yourself before you can love on anyone else. It's not even like, do you do a good job? You are not loving on others if you're not loving on yourself. So if you're not jiving with this conversation, if you don't have a program in place to get yourself to that point on a daily basis where you're always improving on your self-dialogue and your sense of self and your compliments to yourself and the patience you have for yourself and the patience then you have and the love you then have for everyone around you, that's sort of the fruit, and it will come and your life will be easy. And then when you find that dark moment in your life where you're quiet and you're all by yourself and you're ready to pass the other side or whatever the scenario is, it's just more beautiful than the day before. It's just building on day after day where you feel better sense of everything is going to work out fine. Because I don't have a preference in how it works out. I'm just here for the journey. I'm just going to embrace the ride. But I only have issue when people take it too seriously. It's like, oh, I got to do this and I got to accomplish this. And if I just had this fixed, this would work. And if I just got my head wrapped around this one problem, that's festering with what's wrong. That doesn't work. You got to let that go, but really most people can't let it go. So what do you end up doing? You got to repaint it. You got to say, you know what? And some people want to repaint it by just pushing it away. I did the best I could. That's the right thing to say, and you push it away and hope it never comes back out. You got to love on it. You got to see the deep, true perfection of how things have rolled out in your life and how you misconceived things. We misconceive. I mean, we all know it. We could come up with examples, but you watch other people analyze data that you're watching. It's like, I'm in the same room and you came up with that. You know, it's like everyone has their own skew. Your mind definitely filters what comes in out of the ethers around you, and what your experience will bring you is totally dictated by your sense of worthiness of what do you bring in. I bring in what feels right to me. What feels right to me is based on how much I'm beating on myself and shaming myself and, you know, not forgiving others is not forgiving yourself. It's all the same thing. Everybody has that struggle to some degree, but it's a continuum. So don't feel great if you don't have these challenges, and don't blame people who do. It's just a continuum. It's an ongoing cycle, and it never ends. And we're energy balls. There's nothing can happen to us really. But if you don't enjoy the moment now, you're never going to enjoy a moment in the future. Got to set something down and say, it's not going to happen in the future, it's going to happen now. I'm going to love on myself now. I'm going to be accepting of what's happening in my little world now. Because there never is a future moment where it happens. So anyway, now we're at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I think it's time to throw love bombs and tell you guys that it's Friday. Live from the woods. It's Friday afternoon. All right, enjoy. We'll see how the weekend goes. It's going to be great, of course. But as Abraham Hicks says, segment intending. I think it's a good tool. I was already onto this train before I found out about her, but she's got so much good material. I like to put her props, and she does a great job of sharing this message and staying tuned in, tapped in, turned on. and regurgitating on a regular basis, and she's got tons of material, and everybody's putting it out in different ways. They're making cartoons about her, they're making meditation for when you're sleeping stuff out of it, they're making teaching books out of it. Got it all. And just tune yourself up and train yourself to focus on what feels good. It's the next frontier. Not like, oh, let's be all conceited and only do good for ourselves and don't care about others. It's the doers who say, oh, you got to care about others. That comes from the doing side. It's not about doing. Love and accept your moment now in yourself, and it'll project out to others, and everything will roll out the way it's supposed to. Anything short of that, and you're in some kind of fear or self-doubt or feeling unworthy and needing to prove yourself to somebody, then it's me against you, because I got to prove myself. Sometimes I'm going to prove myself by disproving you, right? It's a technique. It's a sad one. But it's, not a judgment. It's just giving you the barometer. It's like, lean to this side. You're just an energy ball of love. Nothing can go wrong. You couldn't hurt anybody even if you tried. But so just let go. Let go, accept the moment, sit down, catch some nice clouds, and, love on yourself. All right, guys, I'm over 10 minutes now. See ya.